Hey, fam. How is everyone doing today? Today is June 1st. That's when I'm actually recording this video. And it is National PTSD Awareness Month. And I wanted to bring awareness to the people who review my content. This is something that's a topic that's very near and dear to me, because I personally suffer with PTSD. And so today on my channel, I'm going to share with you what PTSD is and what are some of the myths in regards to PTSD. So let's jump right on in. According to the PTSD Alliance organization, PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD is a psychological and emotional stress disorder that causes someone to believe that they are unable to cope with the demands placed on their inner world. It is a negative perception of highly stressful, traumatic situations that manifests through emotional and physical symptoms. I have another definition, and this definition comes from the National Center for PTSD. Post-traumatic stress disorder is a mental health problem that is developed after one has experienced or witnessed a life-threatening event. Those events include a natural disaster, a car accident, sexual assault, violence, war, or combat. Those are the two definitions that I found on PTSD. There are also a lot of myths about PTSD. One of the myths is that PTSD only occurs in those who actually go to war or combat. Okay, that is not true. You may find a lot of veterans who feel differently about this, but the facts are in, and according to the National Center for PTSD, 70% of Americans will experience some type of traumatic event. And remember, those events can include natural disaster, a car accident, violence, sexual assault, war, or combat. Out of those individuals, out of the 70%, only 20% of us will develop PTSD. And for us women are twice as likely to develop and suffer from PTSD than men. Now, another myth is that often your PTSD symptoms will arise within 3 months of the event. And if it takes longer than 3 months for the PTSD symptoms to manifest itself, does not mean that you do not have PTSD. It just means that it took you longer for the symptoms to manifest itself. And that could be for several reasons. So just because it takes a little bit longer for your symptoms to show up does not mean that you don't have PTSD. That is not true at all. And that's coming from the PTSD Alliance organization. Okay. Okay. Another myth is that PTSD is a mental weakness. Yeah, we all know that's not true. You know, a lot of people, when they have a traumatic event, you know, something traumatic happens, they're like, okay, just get over it. That's not always true, and it can be very difficult, depending on the severity of the trauma, for the person to process it all. So just because you have PTSD does not mean that you're mentally weak. I know that was a very wrong misconception that I had when I was diagnosed with PTSD, which is one of the reasons why I felt shamed and I isolated myself from people because I didn't know how to cope. I didn't think that I was strong enough to be around people and situations and things of that sort. So just because you suffer with PTSD does not mean that you're mentally weak. In my personal opinion, if you know you suffer with PTSD and you're getting help, that's a sign of strength and courage because you are getting the help that you need. And later on in the series, I'll be sharing with you some of the symptoms and treatment plans that one can consider when they are suffering from PTSD. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. And remember, always plan with the end in mind. Bye-bye.